I'm Carl Anthony, and welcome to AutoSens, the world's leading community for ADAS and autonomous vehicle technology development. We create best-in-class training, events, and information to connect engineers, scientists, and automotive industry experts across the globe. Today, we welcome back to AutoSens Federico Collarte, who is the founder and CEO of Baraja. We recently talked to him in Detroit for AutoSens 2022 there at the Michigan Science Center. He joins us in advance of the Brussels event. Fed, welcome back to AutoSens. Good to see you again.
It's really good to see you again. Thanks for having me, Carl.
So I'm really excited because I enjoyed our first interview. You have just amazing technology. Let's start at the beginning, Fed. Tell us a little bit about Baraja. Give us an overview of the company and what you do.
Great. So Baraja, we are the inventors of a new type of LiDAR. The LiDAR is the laser eyes for self-driving cars and for the wider robotics revolution. And we've got a really novel take on LiDAR. We call it spectrum scan LiDAR. And it basically uses the power of wavelength or changing wavelengths, the spectrum of the laser, to achieve steering and scanning of the LiDAR in a completely solid state fashion, and thereby increasing the reliability and allowing you to really cost down and miniaturize the technology.
So Fed, this is where it gets exciting now. So let's go into a little bit more detail about your spectrum scan technology. Tell us about it and what are some of the advantages to that approach?
Yeah, well, when it boils down to is it allows us to miniaturize it literally to this level. How is it that we get to this level? Is because we have, as I was saying, a spectrum scan technology for steering. That's solid state. Is pairing a laser that is able to change color very rapidly with prism-like optics. And when the light goes through the prism, the different colors of light exit the prism at different angles. Thereby, you are achieving steering without any moving parts, just by changing the color of that light. When you have no need for any mechanical steering, you can really miniaturize the technology and get it to this point of integration. It also allows you to have a lower power consumption, nothing literally moving, therefore nothing consuming parts. That allows us to not only miniaturize, but reduce the power consumption. And that allows our customers to place the LiDAR in less conspicuous parts, like for example, behind the windshield, where it needs to be small and consume low power.
And so with that in mind, good transition here to our next topic, Fed. What are some of your customers' biggest challenges right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you had asked me a year ago or a year and a half ago, I would have said it's about deciding what path and what are the significant steps for them to get to autonomy. Are we going to go straight into robotaxis level 4 and level 5? Are we going to go instead on a more measured approach, level 2, level 3, level 4? That was a big debate, I remember, a couple of years ago. I think by now everybody's chosen their strategy and their plan, and they've already begun executing. So the biggest challenge at the moment is a challenge of execution. And that execution, as you are aware, in automotive takes a few years. So the next 2-3 years are execution and getting to market with that technology stack, with that plan. And we're an integral part of enabling that. With our automotive partners and tier 1 partners like Veoneer, we are working on enabling these plans to become reality.
So Fed, in the next 5 years, the next few years, or in the near future, whatever the timeline may be, from your perspective, what is next for the industry? Where are we headed? Let's just go a little deeper and expand on your thought there.
Right now, there's a lot of activity in the RFI, RFQ space in the automotive world, where everybody's, as I said, making those bets, right? Turning the bets into actual plans and execution. If that's happening today, then the next 2, 3, up to 4 years are execution, leading to SOP, start of production. So 3 years, 4 years down the track, these plans are going to be reflected in the dealership where you and I can buy cars with technology enabled by Baraja, a certain level of safety, assurance, and autonomy. And then by 5 years into the future, I think we're gonna start to observe which ones were the right technology bets, which ones of these strategies and plans actually work better when they meet reality, when the rubber meets the road.
So that's looking forward, Fed. Let's go back now, just a little bit in time. For Baraja, what are some of the most important milestones for you in the past year?
Almost exactly to the date, a year ago, we announced two very important partnerships. On the mining and industrial side of things, we announced a partnership with Hitachi Construction Machinery. They make very large vehicles and machines for mining and construction. And what we announced is our first production multi-year award. From the second half of this year, the Hitachi mining vehicles are going to come from the factory enabled with our LiDAR. So that was quite exciting. And then also about a year ago, we announced our partnership with Veoneer, the Swedish American Tier 1. And that was quite important for the automotive industry. On the technical side of things, more recently, about 6 months ago, we announced Doppler, the ability to measure velocity of the objects as integral part of our point cloud. So that was quite exciting.
Thad, I want to come back to something we talked about in May at AutoSens Detroit, that as you have more ADAS-enabled vehicles on the road, you have higher levels of autonomy, you suddenly have LiDAR everywhere. And that presents a number of challenges. So, Fed, can you provide us your perspective on that? Baraja has a unique solution to that. If you have all this LiDAR around everywhere, share your thoughts. Let's go back to that discussion that we had. Share your thoughts on that topic for us.
That's right. So as LiDAR becomes ubiquitous on robotaxis, trucks, and self-driving vehicles in general, LiDAR has two main components, or three, let's say. One, which is a steering, and then a laser to transmit light, and a receiver, a very sensitive receiver. Unless this is mitigated, those powerful lasers that are transmitting light are going to be interfering with the very sensitive receivers on all of the other vehicles. And that problem of interference is a big one. So I think a lot of people in the industry have spent a significant amount of time trying to create optical filters or algorithms to mitigate that. For us, fortunately, it's simply not a problem. Inherent in the technology choice, spectrum scan avoids interference, because the only way in which we receive light back from the environment is if it comes back matching instantaneously the right angle and the right color or wavelength. And moreover, we don't send just a pulse of light. Instead, we carve out a modulation, a code into that light. When the light travels into the environment and comes back to us, we can check that it's our code, our light coming back, not anyone else's. That technology is called RMCW, Random Modulated Continuous Wave. And together with a spectrum scan, they're very, very unique. We're the only company in the world doing it this way.
So, Fed, we've talked about this during this interview in so many words, but allow me to ask the question a little more directly. I want to encourage, of course, all of our viewers to visit your website. But Fed, tell us, why should companies work with you? Why should they approach you? And, again, we've talked about this, but let's put it all just kind of in one little small, package here, succinct. What sets you apart, and why should companies work with you?
I think there's two big chunks, right? We have the best technology. Spectrum scan, solid state, eliminates interference, allows us to miniaturize, cost down, and drive the power consumption out of the system. We are also extremely novel in that we allow you to have access to velocity, Doppler velocity. So I feel we really have the best technology out there. But the other side of the coin is, well, we need to be able to deliver, and I think you need best-in-class partners for that. And we have a very important partnership with Veoneer, the Swedish American Tier 1, which is partnering with us, bringing this technology to the OEMs with years of experience in exactly doing that, right? Veoneer specializes in doing advanced electronics, cameras, radar, LiDAR, not some of the other more mechanical components of a vehicle like car seats or seat belts or this kind of stuff. So it's an excellent partner to be delivering this, and that adds value to our customers.
Fed, again, we want to encourage all of our viewers to visit Baraja's website. Also on the AutoSense YouTube channel, recorded there is the interview I did with Fed here in Detroit in May of 2022. In that interview as well, the Fed talks more about spectrum scan technology, the importance of benchmarking, miniaturizing the technology, the importance of cost consideration for Baraja's customers. So in addition to this interview, please watch that other interview as well for more in-depth perspective on Baraja. Fed, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your expertise and thought leadership. I look forward to seeing you in Brussels. And thank you for being with us again.
Me too. I'll see you there soon.
For more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to our AutoSense YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn. For more information on our world-class events and technical training, visit auto-sense.com. That's auto-sense.com. Ahead of meeting in Brussels and on behalf of AutoSense, I'm Carl Anthony.